Hello, this is Cryptolyze. I hope you're doing well. This Friday, 16 February 2024. We meet today to talk about a crypto that you asked me for, AGIX, the crypto from Singularity. So as usual, we're going to cut the video into two parts. A fundamental part, we will come back to what Singularity Net is. We will explain the role of the AGX in the ecosystem, and then we will project a short, medium, long term on the charts to have purchase prices, sale prices, and we start by explaining a little bit about this. What is Singularity Net? So obviously it surfs on the narrative of artificial intelligence. Although it started well in advance, we are talking about 2018 in terms of the project itself. It emerged from the ground with the really intelligence part artificial, and the bubble that there was at the end of 2022, at the beginning of 2023, with OpenAI which passed over. The goal of Singularity and AGIX is to set up a decentralized ecosystem for artificial intelligence, and the emergence of humanoid artificial intelligence. The principle being singularity. Singularity is when an artificial intelligence is capable of being aware of itself, and therefore we consider that it is the human representation of intelligence, and therefore artificial intelligence. Strong artificial. And that's the goal of Singularity. That's the goal of AGIX. That's the goal of this ecosystem. It's to create an environment conducive to that in a decentralized way to offer a complete ecosystem. So they're taking the idea of artificial intelligence networking a little further. Obviously, they have structured themselves in the form of a marketplace which makes it possible to interface those who wish to have artificial intelligence, those who wish to propose their project, and behind them they have launched in particular OpenCog, which is a long-term project which makes it possible to implement a scalable and open-source notion of artificial intelligence based mainly on the principle of OpenCog and therefore facilitating accessibility to artificial intelligence. Next to it, we have a token which is AGIX, which revolves around this ecosystem with 2 billion potential AGIX and a diluted market cap of almost $700 million. We have a token that serves as a utility for transactions, governance, and voting, which allows us to interface between AGIX and Cardano, because there is a very strong relationship between Singularity and Cardano through a partnership between the two. This is used for stacking and protecting Singularity. Speaking of the ecosystem, we see that we have an ecosystem that is relatively light because we still have a lot of protocols that are carried by Singularity Net, and therefore not necessarily for people who have built around them. Nevertheless, we have an enthusiasm which is very strong. We see that we have a meeting which is still relevant, which is the 27th of February to the 1st of March in Panama, in which we always have submissions, where we are going to find Singularity Net. And every year, we have a submission which is rather lively with quite a few people. At the level of the token itself, we have inflation which is linked to AGIX ADA utilities, in which we have an issue which is every month, every 28 of the month, January 28, February of 89 million AGX, or approximately at the current price, $83 million. So it remains relatively substantial in broadcast form. So you have to understand that it's a project that rides a lot on the vibe. The question you have to ask yourself is whether or not it will be something that will be hyper-speculative. At that point, it could be interesting in the short term, medium term. And you must ask yourself, the question is this: a project which has a great use for artificial intelligence, and which is intended to persist over time. At that moment, it will be an investment that will take much longer term. But once again, it depends on your strategy. And if you are wondering how to implement your own strategy, I remind you that there is a free guide in description and commentary, which actually gives you all the keys to building your own strategy. It is in description and comments. In terms of the course, I don't have the whole course being something that dates back a very long time. We have the top ATH, which was carried out here at 186 to summarize. And in fact, it did something like that. We went down, we left again. And there we have a restart like this, okay? It's a bit of this typology of curve. So we have a high which was found here with very little liquidity, and a really very strong wave of 2018 where we had ICOs which went really very, very high. And it was the wave of ICOs, 2017, 2018. So we actually had hyper speculation around. We entered a long-term accumulation phase, an accumulation phase which had a relatively strong first break on September 2021. So with the end of the bull run that we was able to know, retracement, restructuring, and hype here of artificial intelligence. So we see that the artificial intelligence hype took place over a few weeks. And then we are in a form of lateralization / retracement. And we could even consider that we are in a retracement which really has a head of 3 waves. Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3. So we could have a new retracement to go and retest. Why not here the 8? So it could be a very nice buying zone if you are ever interested in the project. However, We still find ourselves here in an acceleration phase where we could close this week with a break of structure in which it would invalidate its three-step retracements. And we would have had an accumulation here throughout the entire period of 2023 before having the first acceleration phase, retracement, second acceleration phase, to retest here the 0.55, which is for me the first target. If we break the 0.55, that implies that we are able to break this big resistance and structure above to potentially get the new 88 here, okay? So to know that we have, yes, a dilution of the token, but which is still very light, which is every month, which is rhythmic, and which goes up to 2030. So we have time in terms of dilution of the token, but by against we can have the implementation of a hyper-speculation if we ever have an intelligence narrative during the bull run. Artificial, which will grow very strong. And with that, I would like to make a comparison for you. Think about the different players that revolve around artificial intelligence and compare the different curves. You will see those who follow the trend, those who have the hype. It is perhaps they who will drain the most liquidity during phases of extreme narratives and hyper-speculation. And that's the question you need to ask yourself about Singularity. Is this something that will drain liquidity? Is this something that will attract hyper-speculation? Is the risk-reward still very interesting? And that's up to you in relation to your own strategy and your way of managing your wallet and your portfolio. What can we expect as a target? First of all, going back to a break in the ATH could be interesting. And if we look at the speculative developments, we could go for a market cap of IUE potentially of 5, 6, 7 billion. So there is still a good prospect of development. Afterward, once again, it depends on your way of managing. I hope you liked this video. If so, don't forget to leave me a like and a comment before leaving, and we'll see you soon for a new one. Video.